I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
Welcome to being here. Get on the good foot, James Brown. Okay, ready? What if you are really good at life and everything you do, even if what you're doing is complaining? All right, today we're going to investigate that you're really good at this. What are you doing right now? Are you listening?
You're really good at that.
Are you distracted?
You're really good at that.
Are you talking to yourself?
You're really good at that. Really good at that.
Are you going to take a nice deep breath and be here?
I'll say yes to that.
You're really good at that too.
Yes.
What if we're not going anywhere? What if this moment
is all there is?
And what if we finish each other's sentences?
We're really good at that.
We are. I don't know if
I've spent almost very close to half my life with you.
That's true.
And you spent more than half your life with me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm really good at this.
You know, somebody recently told us that they had gone on YouTube and seen one of our really, really early videos.
Yes.
And we were talking about being here.
Yes.
And the message is the same.
It's all about this is your life.
And
exactly as it is. And you're really good at proving your point.
Whatever that may be in any given moment.
So if you want to prove you're a failure, you're very successful at that.
If you want to prove that your parents irreparably damaged you,
you are really good at that.
If you want to allow yourself to be the star that you are,
you're really good at that. You know, you're really good at whatever you do.
And whatever you invest in any given moment. Last night,
yes,
I woke up.
Yes.
And I had some concerns running through my head like a loop.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm not going to invest in this. I'm either going to go back to sleep or I'm going to read a book of nonsense and just distract myself. And I got out the book and I was reading it. It was pretty early. And then Baby came up because our cat's named Baby. And it was early, but she was hoping for a little food. And she so softly touched my face with her paw. And she was like nuzzling my nose and nuzzling my ear. And I was like, okay, I'll get up and I'll just give you a little kibble and I'll come back. It was really sweet. You can invest in
whatever is happening in your life in any moment, especially this moment, because this is where your life is taking place. So
while you're talking about investing in this moment, let's invest by listening to each other.
Now, listening is not agreeing with what's being said. And conversely, it's not disagreeing with what's being said.
And it's not even applying what's being said to you. It's simply allowing.
Being a sponge.
Yeah, I just got the picture of a sponge too.
Well, that's why you reading minds. Yeah. But if you're a sponge, you just absorb what's being said.
You don't pick and choose the pieces of the liquid. So if I've spilled some chocolate milk, you don't absorb the milk and leave the chocolate. You just absorb.
So the game is to play like you're a newborn and absorb what's being said as if you don't have a vast knowledge bank of information that you will then compare what's being said to. See if you can play the game that you are receiving new information and you're going to let it come in before you interact with it. And then skip the interaction part.
And don't worry, if there's nothing here retainable, it'll go away.
If there's nothing of value, don't worry, it'll not be absorbed.
Let's take our first guest, shall we?
Yes.
Rita, welcome to being here, and tell the listeners where you are zooming in from, please.
Hi, Ariel. Hi, Shya. I'm calling in from Bern, Switzerland.
Lovely.
On a winter day It's cold here,
Yeah,
Is it sunny?
a little bit sunny. Yeah.
nice.
Is there snow in the mountains?
Yeah.
See, I spoke to somebody from Bern earlier.
We recorded an earlier one, and she was telling us about how she sat out in the sun today.
And looked at the snow-capped mountains.
So how fun. We got two, of course, it's going to be a couple weeks apart for the listeners, but it's really fun for us.
Yes. So what can we do for you, Rita?
I just listened to the music from James Brown.
Yeah.
It's real. He was really a good musician.
Mm.
You told take the good foot.
Yeah. Get on the good foot.
Get on the good foot. Yeah, it's really a great song. And I'm since a few months I'm a speaker at a funeral, part-time, and I had some really nice uh, funerals, and then I thought, well, I was really good, or I was really great, and suddenly I thought, oh, I don't I don't be allowed to brag, but the people were so happy to have me, and it all went so smooth, and there were time to be with each other, the family who has lost the father, or also the grandfather, and I was so happy that they told me that they were happy to have me.
So
Okay, let's go back to bragging.
Yeah, what's wrong with
Yeah, and now is it bragging to be honest and say I did a good job?
Yeah, no.
and is it part of the challenge for you? You know, if you had been an Olympic swimmer and you swam your best time and you came out and said, wow, I swam my best time, I'm really happy about that. Is that bragging?
No, but it's measurable. The time is measurable.
But it's measurable if
Well,
you're
I'm interested in how you're talking yourself into it's not good to be proud of yourself for doing a good job.
Yeah, that's an old pattern.
And I have a question. Which is more important, an Olympic record or a send off for an individual who's lived their life so that their family has closure and feels like they were able to celebrate that person's life?
Yes, both are important, but it's
that.
different.
They are different and they're both important. And somehow it's almost as if you want us to talk you into being okay with it so that you can resist us.
Well,
yes, I
let me ask you
wonder.
a question.
Yeah.
Rita, how old were you when you were told it was not nice to brag?
Oh my God, it's 50 years ago.
50 years ago.
Long time ago.
How old are you?
58.
Okay, so you look very good for 58.
And it may be actually a little bit longer than that, but we'll give it to you,
Yeah.
50 years or so.
At least 50 years ago, you learned that that's the way to be. Then I asked the question, are the people that told you that, or were they happy?
Happy is perhaps the wrong word for this
I'm
time.
using the right word. I'm using the right word. Were they happy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So they celebrated life every day.
And
they never complained.
No. No.
See, I'm not trying to say that they were bad people, but they were living in a system. And I don't think bragging is a good idea, but it's okay to acknowledge when you're good at something.
Yeah.
I'm good working with wood to build buildings. And how I know that is I look at the buildings I've built and they're good.
Can you hear the leaf blowers outside? We have the garden people and they're blowing the leaves. They're good at that. It's adding some music to the background of our recording today.
Yeah.
See, you were very young when you learned the rules of behavior in the society.
Yeah.
And you didn't have an ability to look and see if that was true. It was just what was said was the way it is.
It occurs to me as you were talking that, you heard this concept, don't brag, or, more than 50 years ago. And it hasn't been 50 years ago since we've had personal computers. It's been a number of years. And over that time, our computers have gotten upgrades. They've become streamlined. They've gotten less buggy. They can hold lots more data. They're faster. They can connect wirelessly to the internet. There's all sorts of improvements. And when you said, oh, you heard that 50 years ago, I flashed on sitting at the kitchen table. And around that time, there was a famine in Biafra in Africa. And so the common thing was eat everything on your plate. There are babies starving in Africa. Now, as I've grown, I've come to realize while the sentiment of that had some caring value or threads through it, my overeating does not help anyone who is starving. And it was a device to get us to eat and hopefully appreciate what was in front of us. But it didn't have a positive impact on children who were starving in another country. The idea that you shouldn't brag is outdated.
Yeah. Well, and I think I should be over it to think about this out of data.
Let me,
Things.
Here's the thing. If your mind is a computer and it operates like a computer, it operates on the information that's in it as though the information is accurate.
And you have things in your information that are worms. Write once, read many. It's something that is in there permanently. And when it comes up to be read, it comes up as if it's new. When I often read a book at night and I read it on my Kindle app. And every time the Kindle app opens, I see the little boy sitting under the tree with the stars. It's always the same as if it's new. And sometimes I look at it to see if I can see new details I've never seen before. But it doesn't change its permanently, at least for now, until if and when they upgrade it, it will be there. I have a question. Do you have any wood around you?
Yes.
Like a wood floor, a wood cabinet? If you look down or look at that wood, you will see that there is grain in the wood. That the grain comes from the type of wood it is, but the amount of rain it had, the amount of sun it had, it's indelibly in the wood. If you wanted to get over the grain in the wood, you would have to sand it down until it was nothing. You would destroy it, but you can polish it until that wood has a luster to it. And that includes your idea that you should never brag. It's part of what makes you you.
So I can polish my thoughts that bragging sometimes is fun.
Yeah. What you can do is notice your thoughts and let them go. See, when you resist something, it sticks around. That's the first principle of instantaneous transformation. The second principle is life shows up exactly as it does. And the third is if you notice your thoughts and don't judge them as good or bad, but just notice them, they dissolve, they disappear, they complete themselves in an instant.
And now we're getting the leaf blower seal
Background.
of approval. You know, I lost what I was going to say.
You're okay exactly the way you are. In fact, you shouldn't be any different than you are. And that includes a little bragging every once in a while. But I don't think your bragging is bragging. I think you just acknowledge the truth that you did a good job.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, when you read about a person's life and then you portray this person to their family and you connect up with the family, I wouldn't be surprised if after you leave, the person's like, wow, that was so great. And then they might think that they're being disrespectful by not being more sad when really they felt the celebratory nature.
They felt inspired by you.
And inspired by that person.
Yeah.
So if you don't judge yourself for the ups and downs that come along with your thoughts, you just let them go by, you're actually continuing being an officiant for the funeral and all the people who participated.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's that time.
The time for what?
Our listener feedback spotlight.
What is that?
Well, I'm so proud of the people who listen to this show. And now we get to hear from one or more of them about what's happening in their lives with transformation by listening to this podcast and
what they've discovered about life, what they've discovered about their lives, that they are experiencing fun in their lives.
And that they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Christiane from Hamburg. Every time I listen to the Canes podcast or in former times meet them in person, I'm so impressed of myself because I get a completely different perspective on my life. And it gives me so much joy and hope for the future and for the present. I'm really always very, very happy afterwards.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Next Monday is our first Living Made Easy seminar in a while. You are invited. And then, of course, on Friday, February 5th as well. Our next weekend seminars
is Passion, Revitalize Your Life, Saturday and Sunday, March 5th and 6th.
And that, of course, is virtual also. And then we're excited to announce
We've got an in-person seminar
right here in New Jersey
It's called Leap into Life.
at Camp Tecumseh. It's on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, April 29th, 30th, and May 1st.
And that's a sleepaway for big kids.
You can go to our website, transformationmadeeasy.com, and find out more info and register.
Right.
Also, if you are not yet receiving our email newsletters with videos, blogs, and info, and please go up to the website and, sign up, register. All right, let's take our next guest, shall we?
Okay.
Hey,
Eric.
Hey, Eric. Are you
Hi.
really good at this?
Am I what?
Really good at this.
Well, this is Eric in Brooklyn. And it's interesting that my first response automatically was, well, it depends what you're talking about. But the truth is, yes, I'm really good at this. I wanted to say I was moved by hearing the conversation with Rita, and I just had to share this thought I had. I love, there's a television show where people bring old things and antiques to specialists to have them look at them and explain what they are and ultimately tell them the value of that antique, whether it's a painting or a piece of furniture. And this just popped in my head while you guys were talking about the wood grain. So many times I've seen situations where people had a valuable antique, whether it was a relic from an old war or a cabinet made during the 1700s. And they said, oh, it got so dark and it was chipped and scratched, so we refinished it. And the antique appraiser was like, well, you just reduced the value by like 90%. The value of this piece is the scratch, the dent, the ancient look to it. And I was like, I recently turned 60, which I don't know if that makes me an antique or not, but
Scratches and dents.
Literally and figuratively, maybe. But I really appreciated the idea that there's a patina on my life, that sort of glow that you get when you take a piece of silver and it tarnishes, but in a pretty way. So I had all those thoughts came up while you were talking with Rita. For me, am I good at this? I feel like what happened with the automatic response to you was that I have a set of columns in my life of the good, the bad, the yes, the no columns. So if you said, are you good at this? I'm pretty quick at being able to classify the things I'm good at and the things that I feel I'm not good at. So I guess I could say I'm really good at classifying, judging myself. It is, yeah, I feel like that's a facility that was developed over time that helps me in some situations, and in other situations, maybe not as helpful.
Well, as you talk about it, Eric, and here you are, we'll use the wood analogy again. If you're a master woodworker, over the years, you have likely gathered some tools. And some tools are really, really good for
Rough work
rough work, and other tools
are good for finishing work. So with if I were going to sand the tabletop, I'd start with rough sandpaper, and then I'd take finer sandpaper, and then I'd take finer sandpaper. Well, if you judge yourself, it's like going over this very fine piece of work with rough sandpaper all over again.
The other thing I was thinking about it, Shya recently built a really beautiful wood shed because we have so much wood down on our property.
Firewood,
and we use firewood and a fire pit outside. We have a fireplace and a wood stove, and we really enjoy burning wood. And first of all, the structure is larger than I always picture when I say shed. It's big and it's beautiful. And Shya, back before I knew him, built houses. He was a woodworker. He was a cabinet maker. And so he had all those skills. But what was really fun was we had a friend come over who is a current contractor, and he told Shya, oh, don't use a hammer on this. Don't use nails. Use self-drilling screws.
They're called construction screws. Now, when I was building houses, they didn't exist.
So construction screws have a little series of grooves in the tip, almost like a drill bit. And so it drills the hole while you're actually putting the screw in. So you don't have to do hammering. You don't have to even.
And it holds much stronger than a nail can hold.
So all of those things that Shya did were useful. He just, some of them are a little
I just transferred it to a new skill set.
Yeah, I could. That's an interesting idea. Well, I kind of lost it a little bit. How does that? I totally get what you're talking about, but I don't see how that
you have columns in your life, and yes, that having good things and bad things is useful sometimes and not useful others. Well, so for instance, when you are practicing the law, you know what is a good argument for your client and what would not be a useful one. They go into columns. This is not evidence I want to bring forward. It doesn't help my case.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you have to use the same schematic on yourself. No, you have that, but you don't have to automatically look through that and apply it. But it doesn't make that skill set wrong.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. Got it.
Well,
it's so fun.
It has to do with being kind to yourself. Because you, as we, have been trained by the culture we grew up in to pick on ourselves and think we're not doing enough, good enough, and maybe we are. But our automatic response is, I could have done better.
I have a question for you, Eric. I know that our listeners are hearing you rather than seeing you, but you look slightly emotional, and I've known you are one of our longest. We've known you almost as long as the two of us have been together. So we're moving toward 40 years of knowing you. My question is, are you being hard on yourself about something today? Because not as a pressure to have you be funny, but it feels as if your sense of humor about yourself, about life is far away from you at the moment.
Yeah, that's all accurate. I don't know exactly what I'm being hard on myself about. I have been, I was in contact with several lawyers recently in an event, and I think that I got brushed up with a little competitive feeling that I don't know if that translates. So a lot of times when my experience is when I get together with other lawyers, it's kind of in that culture to check each other out and see how we're all doing against each other. So it's possible it's that. I don't really have anything else with that.
Did you come up short in your own eyes compared to other lawyers?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did.
Let me ask you something about these other lawyers. Do they have good working relationships with their wives if they're married?
Oh, I would bet a lot of money against that.
A lot of money against that, yes.
Also,
Yeah.
you know, you're skilled and you're lovely. And I know that should you have this as your priority, you could be working in a bigger firm, longer hours, making far more money. But then what happens? Do you want that?
No, it's very interesting that you bring that up. There was a time not that long ago when I thought that that's something I should be doing and I should seek to get back into that. And I had a very candid and excellent conversation with my very bright wife, Holly, who reminded me that I'm able to structure my life in such a way that I have a lot more freedom the way it is now, having my own law firm. And we've recently talked about some of the traveling we'd like to do, and the fact that because I work for myself, I can travel a lot more. I can actually, with my laptop, I can be anywhere in the world and work as long as I have a Wi-Fi connection. So yeah, that freedom and my being able to have lunch with my wife whenever I like to during a business day. I mean, those are, it's hard to put a value on that. It's extremely valuable to me. So yeah.
You're missing one little piece. You can be anywhere in the world with your laptop and afford to not use it when you don't want to connect in. Because when you're speaking, you will be in Costa Rica with us. You will have been out of range for a couple of weeks. Right. And that's your intention. You can unplug and rejuvenate and not have to worry about anything.
That's right. And through participating in seminars, I've learned that I can set up my life in such a way that I let people know, I take care of people so that I don't have any emergencies while I'm gone. And so we can, myself and all my clients can be comfortable with the fact that I'm out of touch for as long as I'm going to be out of touch. And when I come back, it's not stressful for anybody. That's a tremendous gift, actually. Thank you for the reminder of this. I feel, I don't even know why, but I just feel so much better already just talking about it. Thank you.
You know, it's easy to get lost in the reality of others.
To synchronize. We made up a word some time ago. We called it linkronize. You link up and sync up.
And the vast majority of the people on the planet have a reality that something in the future is going to be better than what they have right now. And that their life would be better if, fill in the blank with whatever you think it is going to make your life better. And so you miss out on your life, period, because you're expecting something in the future to be satisfying when you're not satisfied.
Or you're worrying about potential disasters.
Which is what the mind does.
For instance, with the COVID pandemic, clearly people don't wish to get COVID. And so then each individual takes whatever steps they do to be protective of themselves. But unless they're like, screw it, I'm going to get it, who cares? That's a whole other conversation. I'm not talking about that in general. But there's also where you stop living your life because you're afraid and you project off on what if, rather than being here right now and looking and seeing and making the appropriate moves for your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see that with all our plans for travel. I mean, I have insurance that I take out on the flights and hotels and whatever I book, but I go. Like I make the plan like I'm going to go.
There's one other thing though. You keep on talking about travel as if travel is better than staying at home in your apartment or home or life. I mean, it's as though travel is this thing that is somehow satisfying in itself. It makes you a more worldly, better, educated, cultured person if you travel, rather than a stay-at-home person who just deals with their life. And there's something really, what's the word?
Insidious.
Terrible about that, in that you get to wherever you travel to, and that becomes not it either.
You know, something I did today, I've been in a rush. We had different things going on, and I had washed and dried some laundry. It was in the laundry basket. And we recorded 2 podcasts today. This is the second. And between the 2, I'm like, I'm going to fold the laundry. It was so satisfying. It was so satisfying to smooth things out and put them where they belong and to put it all away. And it was awesome. That for me is not better or worse than travel. My life in this moment, fully investing in what I'm doing, is exquisite.
That's where the juice is. But if you hold travel as the thing that will produce satisfaction, then when you're not traveling, which is most of the time, you're going to be dissatisfied, thinking that this travel will somehow rejuvenate you. And I'm of the opinion, because I can't prove it, that if you're dissatisfied in this moment, when you travel, you'll find something to complain about there too.
And you know, if we go back to this hour before we spoke with you, Shya was tying a fishing fly for a type of fish that will happen, that we will see when we travel. But I guarantee you, he was not thinking that it would be better when he completed it. It wasn't. It will be better when he gets to use it. Sitting and being and touching and looking and composing and creating, that was all. That was it. It wasn't for some future. And I'm downstairs folding laundry, not thinking that I'm working and Shya is doing something else. It was the perfection of full self-expression
and participation in your life and what you're doing.
And not comparative, not like, well, what's he doing? What am I doing? We don't keep lists.
Got it. I hear you on all that.
Well, somehow you just got, you've been enrolled into the idea that travel is better than not. That travel makes you worldly, makes you a better person, makes you more sophisticated. It's what's the word? It's
not a hick.
It's hierarchical in nature.
See, I don't think it's
makes you a snob, a travel snob.
But I don't think it's particularly about traveling. When I look at his face, it's as if he's been enrolled that something else is better. All else is better. More work as a lawyer, a different kind of work as a lawyer. Perhaps there's a other that is better
Then whatever you're up to.
including this right here, right now. You're smiling, but this is
And-
audio.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. So then I would say I don't know what to say about it, except I feel a little a moment of and also feeling like dropped in. Like I feel like I've been rushing somewhere and I don't even know where I've been going. And I
Yes.
feel like I'm somehow stopped rushing because we're together now, and I'm hearing what you're saying.
Well, let's talk about synchronization again then, Eric. This world is rushing. This world is travel is better, more is better, success is better. And there was a period of time a year ago or more, whenever, where we were forced to close down and be slower. Now, if we want to be open and be here, we have to do it volitionally, not circumstantially.
Right.
And
And
it's
I
get caught in that momentum. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, and I see there's this fight against possibly having other close downs or restrictions, and I just it's a little like when you go to a big event and you're walking and you're seeing things, and then suddenly you're in the crowd and you're kind of getting pushed along with the flow of the crowd. You're no longer going at your pace. You're either slowing down because the whole crowd slows, or you're speeding up because the whole crowd speeds.
What
You kind of feel.
What you say is true, except in your saying it, you become the victim of the crowd.
Rather than saying, this is my pace. I'm going slower than I think I would like, or I'm rushing more than I would think I would like.
I think your conversation with these other lawyers, and we can assume that if they're lawyers, they're competitive.
Yeah.
That even if their life sucked, they would try to prove to you that they were doing better than you were.
Absolutely.
And you're vulnerable enough to be influenced by their bravado and their claims of success as though that makes you less.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And the answer is not to stop being vulnerable.
No. It's to allow yourself to be okay being you.
The other thing is, we're airing this late January, but we're recording it early December. And there are a lot of unknowns going forward. The Omicron variant has just started being
seen in our country.
And who knows where it's headed. And you can either get nervous about where it's headed, or you can be here not heading anywhere. Simply be where you are and see what's appropriate. He's nodding again.
I know.
Sorry.
I can see him nodding.
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely hear what you're saying. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's really great to be with you guys today.
Thank you.
Keep breathing, Eric. Oh, and by the way, hey, you're really good at this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to be a guest yourself, like Eric, or you would like to submit a listener spotlight, like the information where people just share about themselves in the middle of this podcast, go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. Next week's podcast, it's all a date.
It certainly is.
That was a nice date with Eric.
Yes, it was.
And with Rita.
And with you.
Thank you. And Val, our
engineer
today. Shout out to you. And thanks. Shout out to all our listeners. We appreciate you listening to our podcast. So we'll be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
Being
being here.
here.